Welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. It is episode 29. It is the Holy Trinity today because the ever-present Mr. Vitti is otherwise engaged this week. He's held in there for 28 episodes. He couldn't make it today, which is fair enough. He's probably cycling while taking pictures and doing whatever. But Mr. Bush is here. We have got the Bush.
I'm here.
And that is all good. So, how are you, Andy?
I'm good, man. I just was reading in the paper this morning. There's been a lot of, there's a hell of a lot of syndicates about Dave being off today, and it's just interesting that Dave happens to be off when obviously someone who's never taken a day off suddenly takes a dive, if you know what I mean. And a lot of betting's gone on about it. Obviously, this will be cleared up, and we can't really comment on it about time. But I just hope that Dave, a little bit like Ivan Toney, it doesn't get embroiled in this a little bit, and it doesn't come back to haunt him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be horrible if it hurt his future call-ups.
Yeah,
wouldn't it? It would cause an issue. I just wonder whether his floodlights have gone off. I don't. Again,
this is all I've seen on his socials this morning on social media is Dave sat on a hotel bed with like loads of money. Someone's taking photos of him with like loads of money.
Oh, okay.
I think £50 notes or something. Yeah. So, like I say, Dave, if you're listening to this, just do get in touch and let us know you're okay.
Yeah. Maybe he's at a Radio One reunion or something, because that's the kind of thing you used to get up to back in the day, didn't it? Loads of money, a well-known rapper, New York rapper, an Everton shirt. That was Dave's lifestyle. I think we can talk about it more now that he's not here.
Yeah.
Very much back in the day, Dave very much felt like he was like the tipping point of culture. Like in
Dave the Rave.
In the Matrix, they say the Matrix is set as in what was defined as the absolute cornerstone of modern history. In 1999, I'm not sure about that. They still had mobile phones where you had to press a button so the bip come down at the bottom, which everyone wanted, by the way. Everyone wanted that mobile phone. And that was the pinnacle of Dave as well. The Matrix and Dave Vitti go together hand in hand. He practically is Keanu Reeves. He's Neo.
Yeah, he is. And Dave, I think Dave was there. He kind of rode the crest of the tail end of the Roadshow radio era, wave. And then obviously that high point of kind of, they were the best times. So I think I'd say the 90s through to us having the Olympics in 2012.
Yeah.
2012 was the last time everything was all right.
Yeah.
Think 2012 it's all been kind of awful, hasn't it? Really?
No, you're absolutely right, mate. But just going back to something you said there, what are your memories of the road shows? Because I remember going on holidays to Scarborough and being. I had to get down to that beach to see Gary Davis throw a cap at kids. Yeah. I had to be there. Because that's what...
you can win a cap. Like what blow felt like. Was he trying to...
listen, the weird thing is, right, Andy and Andy's audience, I imagine, is probably the equivalent. I mean, it's not as big because radio like TV is like, it's so diversified now that obviously the audience will be split. But without saying anything bad, Andy could walk down the street without a problem now. I mean, everybody's Andy and nobody's Andy. That's the unique selling point of Andy Bush.
That's what Andy is.
But Gary Davis back in the day, he'd get mobbed if he walked down the street.
Would he? Yeah.
They were huge. These guys were huge, weren't they? I did a Radio One Roadshow at Tor Abbey Meadows in Torquay. I remember going to that. And Beats International played.
Beats International.
Don't be good to me.
To death.
Norman Cook was in them, wasn't he?
Yeah. Norman Cook. I interviewed him about 3 or 4 weeks ago, Clank. And I forget that he was in Beats International. He was in the House Martins. And he was also the guy behind Freak Power. And obviously Fatboy Slim. The guy's just an absolute legend. But sorry, just as a side thing, those roadshows were absolutely massive. And do you remember a character called Smiley Miley?
I do remember Smiley Miley.
No, I don't.
I do.
So when before I got into radio, I unsuccessfully tried to get into print journalism. So I did about 6 months as a trainee at the Western Daily Press newspaper in Bristol. And my first, I had two things. My first ever thing I did was accidentally phone the wrong service station and tell them that they'd been voted Toilet of the Year. So I had to then go back, call them later on after getting absolutely bawled out by my manager, the editor guy, and then I had to apologise. Sorry, it wasn't you guys. It was a different service station in Taunton. So that was awful. But the second thing I had to do was go and interview Smiley Miley because he had arranged, and this is pure roadshow, Smiley Miley had arranged to drive a Sherman tank into the centre of a Wiltshire village to protest about a bypass being made.
It's classic Smiley Marley, that.
It's classic Smiley Marley.
Yeah.
If he's not taking the engine out of DLT's car and filling it with custard, he's organising a tank. Do you know what I mean?
That's what he
Kill
thought.
Smiley Marley.
There were simpler times. Halcyon days, all you needed was a summer holiday, a beach and a roadshow, and Gary Davis throwing a cap at you, and life was good.
And that was it.
Life was good,
Simpler times.
Yeah, it was. We had similar up here, though. We had like the Radio City. We used to have in Liverpool, or like different shows. You'd have like do you remember the Walton Show? You'd have like the Walton Show, where like it was just basically effectively a big car boot sale in a way. But like the Radio City Roadshow would turn up, and it had a similar feel. And you'd
So have they always broadcast? Because I did a show about 2 or 3 months ago from the tower there in Liverpool. Have they always been from there? Has that been like a radio thing for years, or not?
No, they used to be on in the city centre on Stanley Street. And it was a huge place to be. It had loads of people that passed through the doors. In fact, I was watching a documentary about Pete Waterman and them lot the other week on classically on Channel 5. I'm surprised you weren't on it, Andy, to be honest. And he used to have a show in the 90s going into in the 80s going into the 90s, around the time of Hitman and Hair as well. And he had a show, and I used to always think it was like I didn't think about this when I was a kid, but I thought it was like a syndicated thing that it would be on loads of different radio stations, but it wasn't. He did it from town, and it showed all these kids outside wanting to get his autograph and stuff. And again, simpler times. And then
amazing.
That tower had been empty for ages, and they just decided they bought it cheap and just moved the radio station in there. And I've done loads in there myself. I used to do a show up there myself, and it's crazy how absolutely tiny it is. And it used to be a revolving restaurant.
Yeah, I know. I've heard some mad stuff about it. I'm sure it's completely safe, but when it's quite windy up there, you do feel it move slightly. I was a little bit like, oh my God.
When you stop talking, you feel it, don't you, Baz? We've done loads of shows up there, me and Baz as well, and you feel it. But what I would say is, though, I remember once, I don't know why we did it, but we decided to run down the emergency staircase right to the bottom, from the top to the bottom. And when we got to the bottom, we found that the doors were locked, so we had to run all the way back to the top again.
My producer had that situation. He tried to let me in because I arrived after him, and he couldn't get out. There was no one there. The weird thing is, you think there'd be like loads of people there, and there isn't. There's literally just we had to go and get a security guard from like the other side of the shopping centre to let us in.
Yeah, I think you're missing the key part about having to run from the top to the bottom, though,
and then back up
again, Andy. I mean, I literally mean run.
Yeah.
I'm not. There's no lifts involved. I had to run from the top to the bottom, back to the top again.
It was like 90. What was it? 90. It was a crazy amount of stairs.
Like an endurance test. But it's just you guys have just given me a great idea. And again, we'll need to run this by Dave. But what about a Toffee TV roadshow? We could side of a truck, three of us, us four, giving T-shirt cannon, Dave Vitty with like throwing caps at kids, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Vitty.
You get locked up for that now, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it is a different. The game's gone.
It's a different era. Although with Dave,
the game has gone.
What I would say about Dave, I remember him doing. And I'm sure he'd tell the story much better because he was there.
Yeah.
But he did a bit of a tour once with Radio One, and he drove round classic cars. I think he was either driving Kit from Knight Rider, or he might have been in the 18 van.
It does sound pure Vitty.
They're memories to take.
That's classic Vitty, and that is classic something that should really be held for next week.
Oh yeah, I'm just laying the groundwork.
But you know, I'm obsessed with his life though, with his lifestyle, and we can say this now because he's not here, and people listening, just to let you into it. If you follow him on Twitter or whatever, or on Instagram, he cycles around a lot. He seems to have his feet up on seats, enjoying beers in country pubs at the end of cycles. I feel like he might have won the lottery. Do you think Dave might be like a secret lotto winner? Didn't go for the big check and champagne thing in the local paper and kept it quiet? He does live a very luxurious lifestyle, doesn't he?
He's paddleboarding pasties, man.
I know.
To me, that's all he'll ever be. Paddleboard pasties. Goes for a run, gets out on his bike, takes pictures. He's living a proper, he's just out in the country.
Do you know what he reminds me about?
100% country file.
Again, no, I'm not sure this reference will hit with you, Baz. It might with Andy. He reminds me like he lives in the village from Hot Fuzz.
He's got that kind of.
I've seen Hot Fuzz.
He's got that kind of there's a sinister edge to it.
The village.
But there's something and I'm not saying sinister as in criminality.
No,
I mean there's something else just below the sin, and that might be a lottery win. But it feels like that the village life is just to keep it all under wraps.
I
Do you mean like League of Gentlemen kind of?
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Mock Tudor and a bleeding nose
Yeah.
butcher.
I'd expect Dave to turn up in either Midsummer Murders in one of those villages, because I think he'd fit right in there. Or I'm watching Beyond Paradise at the moment, which is a spin-off from Death in Paradise.
I've been watching that.
And it's nice because the scenery's great.
it's lovely,
But I love Death in Paradise, and that's the fella from it. But Dave could quite easily be there, couldn't he? Just in that village as part of... He just seems that kind
Part of me feels, though, that the Dave Vitti... No, don't we talk about Paul McCartney? Dying in 66. Now, I'm not saying Dave Vitti died. I'm just saying the Dave Vitti from the Radio One days doesn't necessarily tie up with the Dave Vitti now. No, but Dave Vitti presents or is a producer of an EFL podcast and one where women sit around talking about life. That's fine.
And cars.
And cars. Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily tally up with the rock and roll lifestyle of meeting rappers in New York and going on road shows. And I feel like that's he got very much like Michael Knighton in Knight Rider.
Michael Knight, not the fella who tried to buy Manchester United.
That's completely different.
Juggling football.
But I feel like he lives a different life because he is, in fact, a different person. But someone's been put in witness protection as Dave Vitti, because who'd go after Dave Vitti? Who'd go after Dave Vitti?
Well,
maybe one person, but that's
think of one.
Can't say it for legal reasons.
I think if you're let's move on. I think if you did Dave just simply get burnt out, Andy? Was he like that rock and roll star that just sniffed one thing too many, and it was like I'm on the precipice here of I can either have another go and fall off, or I'm gonna spin it right round. As Dave, in other words, as Dave Vitti found God.
Well, the thing is, right, I think if you work in a breakfast show environment, it's so pressurized. You spend such a weird amount of time with each other, and it's you're all so tired. It's really hard. I feel like being in a breakfast show environment like Dave was in. It's a bit like, because I did it for 10 years myself in Bristol. It's a bit like being in a band. It's like when it's great, it's brilliant, but then there's a lot of like hanging out with each other when you're tired and you don't want to talk and all that kind of stuff. It's really
sounds like
That's what we're like.
It sounds like but you guys, you know what it's like. It's when sometimes when you have to be on point and perform at the drop of a hat, and sometimes you don't want to do that. It's the last thing you want to do, and it takes a little bit to pull yourself up like that and be happy and everything. Sometimes it does take a bit of your soul. It's like a deal with the devil sometimes, isn't it? So, but no, he just lives the life. I mean, I think that the next thing that Dave could do, if we were to talk about the Midsummer Murders angle, what about Dave Vitti investigates, and it's Dave cycling around on his bike in that area that he lives in, nondescript. I don't know what area he actually lives in the countryside, and then maybe he comes across crimes, or he gets embroiled in crimes. He helps solve them or something. So
is he almost going to be like a modern day like Miss Marple, because she rode the bike, didn't she? In the earlier ones,
I'd say.
Or Bergerac, he drove though, didn't he? But he could be a more thinking about the earth type of person, trying to save the environment, so he uses his bike, thus giving himself better health. And also, almost like a Mr. Pink Whistly type with Woodward Equalizer, or Miss Marple.
What if like he has to solve a crime, but he's got a sports watch on, and if his heart rate either goes below something
like
or above something,
like speed,
you can't.
You can't
solve it. It has to be calm. Like It has to, I can't think of what the name would be for him. Sure.
What about this then? What about this?
Because we've had that.
Again, just spitballing some ideas here. But Dave, he investigates. Dave gets involved. He's got like ESP powers, right?
Yeah.
He goes and visits the crime scene, does some investigations. Then he goes into a bit of a trance, puts his sports watch on, and just runs. And then when he gets home, almost passes out. But when the next day, when he checks his computer and looks at his run map, it draws the face of the person who perpetrated the crime.
I mean, it's a work in progress. I like it.
I like that.
I like it. So we'd almost wouldn't ESP for his extrasensory perception for people who, so he wouldn't know where he was running. Almost would he be taken over by this ESP?
Like, you know the Native American that used to take over Derek Acora, who's probably now not really got any work now. Sadly Derek's passed on to the other side.
What was his name? Sam, wasn't it? Sam, yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe Sam from Derek Acora's Sam is the person that's channeling through Dave and is drawing the picture for him. Who knows? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's quite a leaf from Derek Acora to Dave Vitti, but you never. Hey, listen.
It's got Channel 5 written all over it.
It has absolutely. Just after Andy Bush after Ambush. That's my name. You'd sit, isn't it?
Ambush. 1 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Exactly, absolutely quality. Or Channel 4 after Naked Attraction. You know, you never know.
Last chicken
Bush
in
follows
Sainsbury's.
Bush. Bush follows Bush or no Bush. Bush or no Bush.
If you haven't had enough of Bush, wait there and Bush after the break.
Exactly. Yeah. You could listen. It works. It works for me. Let's just quickly. Very briefly, just
There is no football. Why would
no?
we
I want
Andy's.
I wish one Andy's opinion on the latest instalment of Everton Football Club. Andy, obviously, since you were last with us, Everton have managed 4 weekends unbeaten, which is incredible. It's incredible. I am including this weekend, of course. And just when you were like us, maybe thought, well, just a nice weekend this weekend, no worry. Don't have to worry about anything. Nothing. Just live my life without Everton ruining it. We got the news on Friday that they have been referred to a independent commission to basically get a decision on whether Everton broke the profit and sustainability rules. Just watch it very briefly, and we'll go back to non-Everton stuff. What was your initial thoughts, and how are you looking at it now?
Well, I'm at the stage which I imagine a lot of Evertonians are at, where I get affected by stuff. I don't have the highs and lows of last season because I feel so beleaguered by it all. It's kind of like you couldn't make it up. To be honest with you, it just goes from bad to worse for this football club. And just when you think you can't be hurt anymore, then something like this comes along. It is annoying. I don't know which one of you guys tweeted it, but you made a very good point that, you know, there's teams in this league that can, you know, scandalously and below the scenes try and come up with a new league and escape. Baz, you mentioned that on Twitter. And then what we might have spent a few quid in maybe the wrong department of trying to sign some players whilst we're desperate to survive. And that's getting more light shone on it than what those guys did. Or you got Manchester City, which are currently being investigated for all sorts, or the weird stuff contract-wise that's going on with Chelsea with their 8-year contracts. You know, that weird loophole that Chelsea have come up with. But still, Everton are the team they want to kind of focus in on. The problem I've got is that sometimes when stuff like this happens, I don't want it to take the focus off the fact that the club is still horrendously run. So I don't want it to look like it's out of our control. We're a victim in all of this.
Absolutely.
We're as much to blame in all of this. It's just another facet of our incompetence. But at the same time, you can't help feeling like we've got some kind of hex on us or something. I just can't. You can't make it up. I think that's how I feel. Just like I mean, I don't know too much about it. If it comes through and we're found guilty, is that a this season penalty? Is it a transfer ban, or what do you think the outcome would be?
I personally think it'll be a fine and a threat, almost like a suspended sentence. That's my initial feeling on it. Is that it'll be that. I don't think. There's seen things of points deductions bounced around. I've seen things of this Latin and that Latin. I think they're in the extreme. I mean, you get a 9-point penalty if you go into administration, and what Everton have done is nowhere near that. So therefore, I think anything like that would be crazy harsh.
Is it one particular signing that they're looking at?
They don't.
Or what?
These rumours yesterday, Ped was saying that people were saying it was one signing. Other people have said it's 1 year. Now the issue I had with it, Andy, and you're absolutely right about that, not taking the spotlight off Everton. This doesn't absolve Everton from the way they've ran themselves. It's shocking. Ped said yesterday he's right. Even though I was bemoaning the rules are there, and only we've broke them. Do you know what I mean? It's like no one else has come in and spent the money without us. We've done it ourselves. The rules could be changed and should be, I believe, but the rules are there, and we're in them rules at the moment. My issue with it is that if the Premier League were holding our hand as we did things, which they were, we couldn't sign anybody without them saying so. How come the year they were doing that is the year they've kind of said we've broke the rules? Now, we don't know, do we? So it hasn't come out what the issue is. And I don't know whether you've seen anything of when John was on with me yesterday, John, our business expert, but what he was saying yesterday wasn't, he made a good point. If the Premier League said, right, okay, you need to recoup, let's say it's £90 million, £100 million by the end of the financial year, otherwise you've broken these rules, and Everton said, okay, we'll do it. and they sold Richarlison, but that was only 60 million of it. Then there's still a 40 million surplus there, isn't there, that Everton had agreed to. So I don't know whether it's something like that.
So is that an explanation as to why the Richarlison money's never been reinvested? Then could that be the answer to why we were wondering where it's gone in an Arteta type sense, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, it had to go in the books, didn't it? Ultimately, we've seen there might be something similar with Chelsea this season, because ultimately, I think what would develop is there does need to be like a simplification of these rules. It is like number wank. It really is. It's like, well, if you do this and you do that, and if you buy someone, you can put it down over 5 years, but they put it down over 1 year. There just has to be a simplification of the rules so that we all understand, because it is still a sort of working class sport where, you're only supposed to care what happens on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon or a Monday night or a Friday night or a Wednesday night.
Or a Tuesday night.
And then suddenly we as the punters are supposed to understand it, because otherwise it leads us to all these issues in a modern world, and it's just getting more and more. I'm being told it's easy by John. Shut up, John. You've got an IQ of about 8 million. Yeah. Of course it's easy for you. Behave yourself. Yeah. But it'll be interesting.
What about this though, Ped? Right? If you get an estate agent on board to sell your house, and then they make a mistake. They know the rules of how you buy and sell houses and where you got to put the money and the forms you need to fill in. So if they then mess that up, then that's just like another element of like professional incompetence. Yeah. So I'd love to know who that is at Everton Football Club that's not put the right form through or taken the money out the wrong bit, or what? I mean, what is it?
Well, you might have done like, do you have like more than one bank account where you have like bank account? I have one of them.
Different show.
Dave Vitti investigates. Where you have like money in one bank account, and then you put it in another for the bills. Maybe Everton have done that. Maybe someone's put it in the wrong bank account, and that's where it is. But
an ISA. Maybe it's in an we put it in an ISA. Leeds Building Society.
Got ISAs.
It's got to mature. It has matured. Yeah.
But it's interesting.
You've got to go into the branch. You've got to go into the branch.
Go into it. Yeah.
Interesting, because
to get it out.
Richard Masters has just told MPs that he cannot possibly comment on whether the Premier League is investigating Newcastle's Sadly ownership.
How can he not possibly comment?
Because if there's an ongoing investigation, he couldn't possibly tell him.
So that means that he is.
So that sounds like that. Yeah, well, I don't know. You get privilege, don't you? There, but
they will be investigated because they've done something that was allegedly illegal as well. Yeah. John's made a good point, though. It should be online for everyone to see. We don't have to know the ins and outs, do we? But we should have a basic. It should be there for people.
It's a huge part of the game now. People are talking about it all the time, but without really understanding it. And when you hear people saying things like, "Well, we bought this many players and we sold that many players, and there isn't much difference," that's not how it works. But how is the normal person supposed to understand all this? We're told on Friday we're basically being punished. Everyone sort of goes mad. Everybody starts going, we're going to lose points, we're going to be relegated. There'll be no further comment from the football club or the Premier League. So that leads to all kinds of mad speculation of what's going to happen, and leaves the average fan scratching their head about what's going on. And surely, if it's supposed to be the modern game, it's supposed to be a game for all. How can it be a game for all when you don't even know, number one, what you've done wrong, and number two, what the punishment might be? That's ridiculous.
Have you seen the way they signed? I mean, I'm not saying it was a bit of a fly on the wall documentary, but Sunderland Till I Die was just a really interesting insight into I think what goes on transfer deadline day is just madness in terms of using faxes and all this kind of stuff, which no one else uses. So you look at that process and think that is probably open to people screwing up or filling in the wrong forms or using their ISA when they should have used the house account.
David De Gea would be a Real Madrid player by now, wouldn't he? If the fax machine had been working
without the fax.
No, it is ridiculous. It is when you see them all running around like lunatics when it's like a billion pound sport, and it is all these just really weird things, really stupid rules. Like, it needs to be simplified so that the average man can understand. And even if that's, even that doesn't have to be like the finances. That should just be like the punishments and why you got punished, and come out. And like, even on Friday night, it was like, well, they haven't been charged because no one's used the word charged. Like, but you have been charged. The Premier League have charged them. Now it's going to go to a court, like an independent court case. Like, you can't even use the right terminology. So you've made it complicated. You've almost created your own little grey area so that maybe Everton are in the wrong, or maybe they're not. We'll find out. You wouldn't have this in the real world, and I don't understand with the sport, which is the most popular sport in the world, why you would make it so complicated for people to follow. Because we're all entangled now, aren't we? We live by it day and night. Then you get stupid articles in national newspapers basically lying to us. Oh, this could happen and that could happen, and it all it does is create worry, and there's no need for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. And I think one thing that came through in like lockdown was how the things that are important to people have quite a significant effect on mental health. And some of the other people might dismiss it as just being, it's just football, or it's just your monthly meet up down the pub, weekly meet up down the pub with your mates, or little things like that people cling on to when times are a bit shit like they are at the moment mean a hell of a lot more. So having this kind of sinking feeling about Everton does affect people, and it's annoying because Deitch has kind of steadied the ship a little bit, and it's kind of been started to look a little bit brighter. But then just when this is what it's about, the hope that kills you at Everton Football Club, just when you think it's maybe we're going to be okay, that's when they bring this thing out of left field and hit you with this kind of enigma of a lawsuit that no one understands, and throw into the mix the fact that for some reason over the past couple of years, our club is the worst at communicating with its fans in the entire league. And it's this powder keg that's just going to go off at some point, isn't it?
What's really mad is the best communication we've got from anyone around Everton Football Club comes from a fella who was the best communications officer we've had in recent living memory. And he doesn't work for Everton anymore. He works for Sky Sports. But he goes on and does communicating from what he knows from bits and pieces he hears, and that's a sad indictment for Everton Football Club, really, that the fella they moved on because the previous CEO didn't like something that he said or whatever once is it shows how kind of shambolic Everton have been over the last 10 years, and it's really sad, it's really grim, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with this and obviously everything else. I don't know whether it'll be done quickly or not. I can't see it really, because
I think they can drag this out.
Yeah, and I was told yesterday by someone that the intention, they Everton feel like they've done what was asked of them, and therefore they'll be rebuffing everything that's thrown at them. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, if it is a points deduction, then it'll have to be settled this season, though, won't it? Because you can't have a points deduction.
It'll be next year, Andy.
No, because ultimately, like Manchester City, they've got loads hanging over them, and theirs could take potentially years. And then I suppose for them, it'd be easier to take points off them because they're at the top. But then trophies would have to be taken off them and things like that. And that's why I think we'll get an embargo, basically. I think we'll get a transfer embargo. I think that'll be the simplest thing. It'll be punishing us.
We've been doing that ourselves anyway. We don't need anyone else to put an embargo.
Yeah, but that's it, isn't it?
We'll have enough. We'll probably be given the same with Chelsea, enough time where you can go and quickly buy players before it comes in. It might come in on like August the 1st or something. Yeah. And then so you've got like 3 or 4 weeks to buy us, because they'd be hampering your survival, wouldn't they? Straight. And even though people might, and rightly so, other people looking in might go, that's the whole point of it. Yeah. They still putting it is the way it's done. It is a little bit bizarre, but it'll run for a bit. So let's see what happens with that. Andy, let's move on to you. You and your sandwich making on the radio, and the reason why I bring this up is my missus was in the car the other day and your show was on, and she was like, "Oh, Andy, is that how you do?" I was like, "Yes, that's our mate Andy." She said, "Oh, he was doing some toasties with ham and sauce and cheese." It's like, really? I have no idea how that kind of idea came about. No. If only we could go back to episode 1 of this. But you were telling me
that's my toastie, you tit.
That's my toastie, you tit. That's my toastie idea, you tit. Ham and Borson is had to go with, but listen to what they're doing tonight at time of recording. And we're going to then go into what the flavour is and where people can listen to this concoction. So go on, Andy. Go on.
So it started off, Toastie Tuesday, as we call it on the show, started off because my father-in-law, who is from Alnwick in Northumberland, was telling me that back in the day, he used to work down the mines in the early days. And they used to have, they go to the pub afterwards and have mince beef toasted sandwiches. So just like mince, fried mince in a toasted sandwich.
Okay.
And I was thinking, I mean, that can't be right. That can't work. We tried it on the show, and it was an absolute hit. It was fantastic. Tasted really, really good.
Okay.
So, and then it got us thinking. We had so much comeback on the show from Absolute Radio listeners. We thought, well, maybe we do this regularly. So we do a thing now called Toastie Tuesday, where people will suggest a toasted sandwich combination, and we'll do it. And so we had Hugh Jackman on the show about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He suggested a toasty clang, and we toasted that the week after, and that was a hit. And
what
then we
did,
did this
what
one.
did he suggest? Sorry, Andy. We clanged, as you were saying. What was Hugh Jackman's suggestion?
It was cheese and mango chutney.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
I understand that,
Sounds like a fella who's been rich for a while.
Yeah, living the dream. So, a bit Vitty lifestyle.
Vitty lifestyle, yeah.
Dave will have one of them whilst he's got his feet up in a pub, just chilling out in the afternoon. And then, so the ones we're doing at the moment, we did boursin and ham the other week, which went down pretty well. And then we're going to try boursin and chocolate this evening on the show.
Yeah. I'm not convinced.
You don't reckon?
No.
Chocolate and cheese and stuff goes all right, though,
I think. Yeah, maybe if you live in the south, but I don't know. Yeah. Soft, I mean, it's a soft cheese that stops pregnant women from eating it.
So,
I'm just saying, you know, you got to be inclusive these days. You're not.
All the cheeses probably will be available. Mind you, though, then if you toast them,
feels. No, I'm just saying it feels very anti-pregnant women.
No, because all cheese would be soft then when you put.
No, there's a difference between cheese being soft and
spreadable cheese,
and just you know how it's made soft, so therefore you know it's got issues within it.
Yeah, we just want to specifically do a run of weeks where we do brutal toasties that pregnant women can't have. So we're gonna have shellfish toasty next the week after.
Yes, I mean,
and then mackerel pate.
I'm fully on board with that because I just feel like, yeah, you're pregnant and what? And what? Loads of people have been pregnant. Why should you get my seat on the bus? Piss off.
I don't like the they've got those signs on the tube in London. It's like, give up your seat to someone who has got a disability or is pregnant or is old. And I don't like making that judgment call when someone's coming towards you. Like, how you get that wrong? That's really some women, older women who I've given a seat to, it's actually quite mortified by that. If you think that they're old enough for you to have to get up for them. Do you know what I mean?
You thought they were pregnant.
Well, there's that as well. Imagine that. It's even worse.
That is. Yeah. That's it. In the modern age, I'm just going to say, listen, you stand there, love. You've got comfortable shoes on. You know, get on with it. And you'll probably be getting off at the next stop because, you know, the shop's there or something.
And they say chivalry's dead. It's not, is it, Ped?
No, not dead where Ped's
concerned. Hey, I tell you what, though, speaking about Absolute Radio and radio stuff, we hosted the brilliant Teenage Cancer Trust gigs at the Royal Albert Hall the week just gone. The night that Richie and I did was Kasabian. And when we were backstage, our producer, Nick, texted us. He was in our little box bit. He said, I swear I've just seen Everton manager Sean Dyche at the bar. And I was like, he can't be at a Kasabian gig. Dyche isn't into Kasabian. I don't know what kind of music I imagine he listened to. Yeah. Probably kind of like quite aggressive heavy metal, but I didn't think he'd be like a Kasabian fan. Anyway, so we went on stage, did our stuff, didn't think about it again. And then on yesterday's show, I got an email from a listener, a fellow Evertonian called Michelle, who was sitting 3 seats down from Dyche, who was there in the crowd. And apparently he's friends with Serge, the lead singer.
It's classic Dyche.
I was going to say, I think he has referenced the goals and he's watched them everywhere. Goes everywhere to watch them, apparently.
Fair play to him.
So,
can I just, fair play to him, but can I just bring something up?
He loves Kasabian and he loves house music.
You're going to say he's an old school raver.
Wow.
You can tell that. Yeah. But I was just going to say, what's the point in having an absolute radio DJ on a podcast with you if you're not getting access to tickets for big gigs that he's hosting?
I can cut you guys in. You let me know. Let me know your diaries.
There's never ever like, lads, doing this gig. Do you fancy coming down? You know, a bit of moral support. Get together. No, it's not that, is it?
It's a lot less glamorous than it may seem. But I will definitely next time in the future.
Probably full of old pregnant women, isn't it?
Don't get up this. You
don't stand up for them, but you go, do you want a ticket? Want a ticket? Because Avian and I'm sure they're there.
But I feel bad for Dyche because I don't know what music I had him down as being into, but it sounds like he's into fairly cool stuff. So good on him. Do you know what I mean?
He loves his gigs and all that. He loves live music.
Is that why his voice is like that? He's always talking over loud music.
Always screaming at gigs and he always having a conversation while they're playing.
It's all the dry ice.
The club foot. Yeah.
It's all a dry ice over the years. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's affected them. It's affected them. All the raves in the middle of fields.
On your Toasties, just go back to your Toasties for a minute.
Sure.
What has been the one, Andy, that has surprised you the most? The one you've enjoyed? The one where you looked and thought, I'm not convinced that yoghurt and mashed potato on a Toastie will work, and you've had it and it's perfect. What has been the one? Or you just perpetually got an open mind and you're just like, you know what? That sounds like it'll be nice.
Do you know the one that again, it's a bit of another clang going on here, but we had Kiala Settle, who from The Greatest Showman, gave us a suggestion. And she gave us a Hawaiian recipe, which is spam and scrambled egg.
They love spam in Hawaii.
I love spam. I don't know why they love spam in Hawaii. I don't know where that's come from.
Maybe that's what. No, but maybe because it was a big place during the war, Pearl Harbor and thing. Yeah. Maybe they just got loads of tins of spam left over, spam. And it's just they just continue to keep digging up, and they just go well, what's no point in wasting it. The mainland is ages away.
Yeah,
I mean we've just both watched White Lotus. We've seen the hardships they go through in White Lotus.
Yeah, it is hard. That's looks like a lot of hardship in the hotel.
They just keep on finding tins of spam. It's like the natural thing in Hawaii. You'd find we dig for coal, they dig for spam.
Well, I mean that could be it. But what we did, we scrambled the eggs in the correct way, which is in the microwave. I don't know if anyone wastes time doing it in a frying pan. The microwave is the correct way, and then chuck that on top of the toasted sandwich with some spam, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, I've not gone on and bought spam since, but it has opened my mind to maybe spam in the future.
Spam, meat in the can.
It's made you think about it, hasn't it? I mean, you're not going to actually
never
eat it because it is a wartime food that no one should still be eating.
Yeah.
I
like corned beef.
No,
do you like corned beef?
No. See, this is where I have to draw the line, right? Anything that you could only get during the war is not acceptable to eat. Now, I'm sorry, it's not. I have.
We are almost in wartime.
No. I'm a very open guy about a lot of things, but I draw the line at wartime.
The man who is Eurovision's biggest fan is not allowing you to have meat in the can.
Well, do you know what? We've talked about the apocalypse before. I think Ped, because of his food preferences, would be dead in 3 weeks.
I probably would, and I'll be happy with that.
I'm not eating that in a can. It's it's the end of the world, mate.
I'm not having people sitting there eating foods that you could only get with a ration card. I've got standards. The French wouldn't have this.
The French wouldn't have it.
French should eat bloody anything, wouldn't they?
No, but they also go and strike if you put petrol at 1 pence.
Fair point. They will eat the horse, but they'll. I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Frey Bentos, Ped?
I did used to like a Frey Bentos.
Frey Bentos with mashed potato.
Till I realised, basically, it is just a can full of nothing real.
Nice though.
Yeah, it is. Know what it is? I think they add loads of chemicals here to convince you that the stuff in there is real.
Maybe.
Like fruit.
Fruit's lovely. Fruit is lovely.
Are you questioning the existence of fruit there?
Yes. I think
the farmers add lots to the fruit to make it tasty because it has to compete with the Haribo market.
Wow.
So why not? Why not at sauce?
Gone too far.
No, it's gone too far.
This is the Ike moment. I'm going to be on this podcast next week and he's going to be in a purple shell suit.
In the 80s, they were like, the kids have got no
pink shell suit next week.
Costing the NHS a fortune. We need to get them eating fruit. And they were like, they went to the source, they went to the farmers, and they said, listen, start putting a few... here's this stuff like probably popping candy. They probably got the little bags of popping. Remember that when you were a kid?
I remember.
Little pop.
Get it now?
No, I know, but you're not going to go in and get it now.
Marvelous Creations.
You'd look weird, wouldn't you?
You'd have a bite of Marvelous Creations. It's got some of the popping thing.
No, if you went in the shop and bought popping candy now, Baz, you'd look suspect.
You'd be going standing.
You'd look like you were laying a trap.
Gary Davis to throw a hat at me.
You look like you were laying a trap down the street like Hansel and Gretel with popping candy. So they got the seeds, they got the popping candy, they put it in together. They added probably a chemical called M14YZ. Threw that all in. You got these new apples that when you tasted them, and that's what we needed to compete with because Haribo was starting to be brought back by people very much like holiday songs brought back from holidays, and we was getting so
called favoritos. when they bring them back from Spain.
There you go. Remember in the 80s when you used to bring loads of sweets back because you couldn't get them here? People started bringing sweets back. The fruit market couldn't compete. It was going to bankrupt the NHS because of all the kids going to dentist.
Road.
Yeah. And that's where it all started. And that's my story. And I'm very much sticking to it.
All right, conspiracy, Jim. I've got a few questions here. Let's move on to these.
I think that's an original conspiracy.
I don't think anyone's ever come up with that before. I've never heard popping candies being mixed in with seeds to create new fruit.
Outrageous.
Never. Outrageous.
Put that in a tin.
Put that in a tin.
Yes.
Yeah. Neil 1878, one of our Premier members, says here, favourite chocolate bars, and if you were casting films, what type of genre would it be in?
Wow.
So what's your favourite
chocolate bar?
Yeah,
straight away, it's got to be the Yorkie.
Okay. Not for girls. Remember that? I used to say not for girls. Can't say it anymore.
No. Game's gone on that one as well.
Game's gone.
You can't. You probably couldn't even say not for men.
No.
You couldn't say anything. No.
Listen, Five Guys changing its name to Five People.
No, I'm not having that.
See,
no, that's nonsense. That is something that they put. No, that is definitely a headline that they put in certain newspapers.
No, it was in Sky News. Sky News.
No, I'm not having that.
But anyway, Andy, go on. So you've gone Yorkie. What's your favourite chocolate bar?
Do you know what? Just top of my head, I'm just going to throw it out. First thing that comes to my head was Whisper.
I mean, that's a shout.
And that's
Whisper's
the way they do things, isn't it?
I'm going Mars bar.
Okay. Old school.
For a bit of everything.
Yeah. Do you used to have them in your pack lunch?
Do I still have them?
No, did you used to have them?
No.
In your pack lunch with your popping candy?
No, my mum never gave me. I never used to have like a chocolate bar.
Do you remember gold bars? Do you guys remember gold bars?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I do, yeah.
Working down a gold mine.
You know what I used to like as a kid, and like probably like before like 20s and that?
Yeah.
Was Karamach bars, remember them?
Like
but I had one a while ago, and it went. I thought it's changed the way they made it.
I remember when I was a kid, I was very much like me Milky Way, and I remember when they did the double Milky Way. Do you remember the advert for that? The red car and the blue car had a race.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Don't get adverts like that. We don't really get adverts anymore because no one's got an attention span. No one's got an attention span to watch them anymore.
Adverts are literally recorded.
I tell you what, I don't like.
Hang on.
I don't like dark chocolate. What's the point of dark chocolate? It makes your mouth feel weird.
I like dark chocolate. Yeah. It's very healthy, apparently.
It is healthy. I don't like it, but it is healthier than the other version. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just very quickly, while we were staying on to adverts for just 1 second. Andy, when was the last time, or have you ever been to America?
Oh, it was a long time ago, but yeah, I've been a few times. Did a year abroad studying at university over there.
So, we'll talk about that another time. Yeah. I went twice last year, and obviously once was with Baz, and we would sit in the hotel room now and again and just like have telly on late at night, and the amount of adverts in America where you're watching it, it's like, hi, I'm Troy McClure, I'm a healthcare assistant, and there's this new, and then at the end of it, tell you all the ways that tablet could kill you. It was terrifying. Yeah. The side effects are you will grow a new head, and then it will fall off, and then you will die. Yeah. It was ridiculous. It was terrifying.
The first minutes of it was telling you how amazing this tablet is.
It's going to save your life, but now your leg was going to grow back, and all kinds. And then for the last 30 seconds, telling you every way you could die from it. Yeah.
But they know about medication, don't they? They talk about medication the way we would talk about like beer brands or you know what I mean? They go, "Are you taking your Xanax?" And they've always got these their personal physicians. And get it. They do. Like Michael Jackson had that Dr. Conrad Murray or whatever. He was just
Dr. Feelgood, he was called,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Killed him in the end.
Killed him in the end.
Very much. Yeah. He probably came with an advert.
He did.
That said, I can make you feel good. Very much like Stephen Dennis did back in the 80s. But I might also kill you. That might have been his advert. We just don't know. I can't confirm that.
No.
I can't confirm that.
It would have been a good advert, though.
It would have been interesting. If Stephen Dennis would have been.
That's what I mean. Stephen Dennis, every time. He just stepped
when
in.
He said something like,
where have you been? I'm on call.
I'm on call there. I will be going back into Neighbours at some stage. Because he did. He went back into Neighbours, didn't he? I seen him in the Empire once in a play, Stephen Dennis.
Was he good?
Oh, he was all.
Was it a play or a panto?
It was a play. It wasn't in the panto. It was a play. He was all right.
That's a topic. That is, by the way.
I seen Mr. T.
No, you've ruined it. You've literally just ruined it. I was literally just going to go. That's a great segment. No,
I've got the ball, and you just scissor
because
tackled
what
my
I was
ankle.
doing was, we're coming to the end of this podcast.
No, we're not. We're not. We still got 5 minutes.
We didn't want to go on to a new thing. I was like, we could have a bit where you go, who's the weirdest person you've ever? And you just destroyed
all
it.
I said then was I saw Mr. T.
Mr. T
in Rocky 3,
Panto.
and he was great.
No, he didn't. Mr. T done
Was he not
Panto.
Clubber Lang?
Mr. T
Was he
done
not Clubber Lang?
Panto.
He was.
Mr. T done Panto in Liverpool.
Professor Poopy Pants says he's having an affair with Notts County because they're local and they're cheap and they win. Their striker, Macaulay Langstaff, what a name. Looks like he'd be Dave's mate. Has scored 39 goals in 39 games. Do you think a lower league striker in a top Premier League, you could put a lower league striker in a top Premier League side and he would still score a decent amount of goals?
No, he'd be shite. He would be shite.
Like Raphael.
No, he'd be shite.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
He'd be shite.
Okay, that's your... Andy, what do you think?
Who was the guy? I really liked him, but he'd never really panned out for us. We got him from Leeds. Is it Jermaine?
Beckford.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought, he could do some great stuff for us. And he scored one really great goal against Chelsea. And he walked through most of Chelsea and scored.
He got 10 goals that season, Andy.
Yeah.
He got 10 goals. He was like our third leading goal scorer,
killed for that
second
now.
leading goals.
No.
Hasn't it changed though? I think we talked about this before on the podcast, where it's like the way we used to judge strikers in the past has completely changed now, given the dearth of goals up front for us now. You'd bite your hand off for 10, someone scoring 10, wouldn't you?
Oh, God, mate. We'd give him a 17-year contract if he could score 10. Mark Mack says, a bit of a joke question. I don't think this is a joke question, Mark. What would be your ideal top 3 essential foods in the new stadium?
Jesus.
Wow.
You threw that one at us.
You know what? 3 foods, just quickly. Do it without thinking. 3 that you'd definitely like to see without thinking.
Really nice burgers.
Yeah.
Like nice burgers.
Nice burgers,
though.
yeah.
Do you know what I'd really like? Like bit of pulled pork.
Okay.
Bit of pulled pork.
Is that a euphemism?
I was wondering about that as well. But fair play, yeah.
Bit of pulled pork.
So good quality burger, gourmet burger, say, pulled pork and
pizza. Big slices.
Shout. Andy, what would you like? Everton new stadium, you can have just 3 that you'd like to go in and go, I'll tell you what, they're good.
All right, what I would like is pasties. I absolutely love pasties. That'd be great. Nice pasty.
Yeah.
Bit of scouse. Get some local cuisine going in there. Pot of scouse with a spoon. What about that?
Eddie Kenneth Williams saying
And some crusty bread, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love scouse. It's fantastic. And then one other thing will be good. I think I'll have to go with Ped on the burger. You can't beat a good, what's a good Sheedy burger? They should call it after an Everton player. What about that?
Burger, yeah.
2 Sheedy
you could
burgers,
have a couple,
please, mate.
couldn't you? Yeah. Different, mate.
And a Yakubu. 2 Sheedies and a Yakubu, please, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yak burger.
a yak burger.
Yeah.
Works. It works. Andy says, why do I need an air fryer? Just for you, just for you. Just sell him an air fryer in 30 seconds. Why need one? Or she. Andy might be a girl.
I just think
Could be a woman. Could
your
be a woman.
life will be changed, and there's no way I can measure that in words.
Okay. Your life will be changed.
Profound.
That's pretty profound.
Kind of like, I thought like Chaucer then.
Okay.
I was
Paul Bettany's
yeah,
Chaucer.
Paul Bettany's
Of
Chaucer.
course.
I have no other reference to Chaucer.
We don't really.
I have no
Chaucer
other
might have been
reference.
like Ned.
never
For
read.
all we know.
I've never read any of his works. I just know him from A Knight's Tale.
From A Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
and he
you
was
know.
pretty cool
He
in
was.
A Knight's Tale, so fair play.
He was pretty cool.
Fair play. Billy G says, who on Everton staff keeps pushing the buzzword robust at us? It's getting pretty irritating.
Yeah.
Is it Denise Prentice or is it a Farhad thing? Have you noticed this, Andy? A lot of Everton's fighting back at things is robust. We're going to have a robust defence of this, independent commission. We're going to be robust in the new year as we fight relegation. Yeah. Who's coming up with that word? Has someone just read the thesaurus and gone, ooh, I like that.
I like that word.
Yeah.
I think there's been a circular, can we get this word out as much as we can? We're going to really go big on robust for the last
It is the era of that thing, though, isn't it? I remember I watched recently the thing on Sky, which was like a dramatisation of COVID, and the three word symbols, like, wash your hands or whatever. whenever it was.
Yeah.
They were like, it's a big thing, isn't it? Get words into people's heads. And keep repeating.
Yeah.
Like you know what you sound like, you know what you're talking about. And clearly Everton's decided that. But again, no, I imagine that Everton have brought in an outside company, and they've been charged millions of pounds to come up with the word robust.
Maybe this new stadium should be called the Robust Stadium.
I don't know what it is.
If Everton people start coming out, communicating, walking out and doing that stance where they stand like the Marvel heroes, like the Theresa May and all of them, then mate, that will be me done with them.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I've been
robust.
I watched have you watched Succession, Andy?
Yeah, we watched the first one of the new series last night.
I only watched the half of it because my missus fell asleep. God, but I love some of the words they use in that, and I love the differences. Like there was a recap of the last season, and the guy who's the main guy, Brian Cox, in it. He's just amazing. The things he come out with it. But I love the word he said, and I didn't realise it. He called his kids effing pedestrians, and the use of the word pedestrians was just incredible in that moment. And knowing it's just a normal word that you use in every day, but it was the way he said it. And I could see that coming into the lexicon, going, "You're a fucking pedestrian, you are, lad." They should be brought into the lexicon as an insult. I love it.
Right, last couple. Martin Kitney, what 3 flavours of crisps would you put in a bowl to mix with to have a cold pint? Go on, Andy, you've got a choice. Got a pint at the new stadium, a bowl. What 3 flavours are you throwing in?
Tomato ketchup flavour crisps, which are the best. Worcester sauce flavour crisps. Chicken flavour crisps.
Oh, my God. Boom.
You'll keep your bowl to yourself.
The Worcester.
I'm all day with.
Chicken and mafia. The tomato.
Now get out the door there. Are you throwing at the wall with this can of spam?
I'm going to go with sour cream and chaff. But I'd prefer them to be Pringle. Pretzels.
You were going to say
pretzels.
Pretzels?
Yeah, pretzels. I love a pretzel, mate.
Like we're on the plane when you get them little ones.
I love them. I love food that other people don't like.
Clearly,
you give them to me then.
Yeah.
As long as they're not on a tin. Yes. A bit of barbecue.
But I think barbecue's a safe bet.
Yeah.
I think
bit of barbecue.
Enough flavour in a barbecue there.
And I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to go with prawn cocktail.
Prawn cocktail with barbecue and sour. That's a mad.
My palate is a delicacy of everything.
It's a plethora of anything. Carla, we will ask Dave about the 50-cent photo next week in his Everton shirt. He's not here, we can't ask him. Not so purple Aki says, if Bush is on the pod, he is. Can you ask him how he manages to keep his shit together doing indie disco on a Saturday afternoon when Everton are playing?
Dead easy, it's pre-recorded.
Hey, Ped, I'm not having that on this. That's a sacrilege.
You can't say that.
Do you know what I've started doing, right? And I would recommend this to any other Blues who have problems with their emotions during match days. I don't switch my phone off. I don't have anything to do with it. I remember reading Moneyball, the story about Billy Bean, the Oakland Athletics manager, and he'd cycle around the block when the Oakland A's were playing. Yeah. Just he didn't want the stress of it. So it works. And since I've been switching my phone off, we've been doing all right. Yeah. So long may it continue. It's the way forwards. Find out afterwards.
I've done that though for different things, like maybe not Everton. I did it a couple of times as a kid, but I've done that where I think more when Liverpool were going to win the league, and I just couldn't handle the stress Liverpool win the league. And you go for a walk, or I'll go up the park or whatever. And the problem is every time you hear someone scream or a child,
you don't know which way it is.
No.
Yeah. Oh, you're on it.
Mightn't be anything to do with it, but you just think, what's happened? You know, there's probably a brutal assault within the park. But
isn't that right? Isn't that horrible? Like when Liverpool won the Champions League, so normally we'd always end up going to Wales for that because it was always half-term week, so I'd think, well, it's on. Yeah. And when they got to the final, they did ruin it for me because I couldn't watch it, because I used to love watching the Champions League final. They were there. And anyway, when they won it against Spurs, it was the week later, so we'd been on holiday, and I come home and was like, I'm not watching it. And it was a lovely summer's night. I'm just making a cup of tea. And I heard a scream immediately, and I was like, "It's like
that's why
I went. It's like 8:02,
2 minutes, and
he's got a penalty."
That's why every time, and people go, "Oh, you're bitter and stuff." It's like every time Liverpool been in the Champions League. Like last year, I went to Whitby, so and when I got there, I bumped into some Reds. But it's that. But it is though. It's that thing of it's not because you're bitter. It's because you don't want to be around. that. You don't want to be like
win it. They win it, great. Enjoy yourself.
You don't want to be a prisoner in your own house and have to deal with the people who clearly have never watched a match in their lives, squealing and shouting, and like my next door neighbour does. And you just want to go. If you're going to win it. Enjoy your weekend. Have it. Take it. There's your bendy bully.
You've got it.
And by Monday, no one will care.
Right, last couple because Andy's got to go.
I'm going to have to run for this train, fellas.
Quick.
Yeah, okay, dead quick. Right, if you could see any musician live who has passed away, Andy, who would it be?
Oh, I would love to see Prince live, and I never saw Prince live, so I think he would be fantastic.
Yeah, shout. Okay, let's leave it because
I'm going to go with Elvis.
Elvis.
Oh yeah, just watch the film
just
the other day.
To see if he was really
the way you
proper.
Like, the way he was.
Yeah, there you go.
Tremendous. Let's leave it there. Andy, massive thanks. Thanks to everyone who got the questions in. We will be back next week, and hopefully, he will. The Vitty will return from his lavish lifestyle to be part of the pod once more. Thanks for listening and watching. Take it easy. See you later. Bye.